Welcome once again, everyone. Cannabis news. I'm your host, Joe Klare. It's September 20th, 2018. Presented as always by the Marijuana Times. Click that video tab at marijuanatimes.org to find the show. A bunch of great articles there as well, social media links, and more. Go check it out, marijuanatimes.org. Today we're talking about Canadians and more Canadians and lobsters. So that's a lot to look forward to. A double dose of Canadian news and some lobster news. Also from the north, basically, for most people in the United States. All of that is coming up. But first, of course, Cannabis News is brought to you by Natureside. Nature-side.com. Site is spelled CIDE. Check out their organic, all-natural pesticides. If you're a cannabis cultivator in a state where it's legal, you got a lot of regulations to follow. You can't use banned pesticides. You don't use harmful chemicals on your grow. In any case, you want to grow safe and poison-free. You can do that with Natureside, nature-side.com, a proud sponsor of Cannabis News. Go check them out. This first story by Julia Granowitz over at marijuanatimes.org. Can Trump ban Canadians from the U.S. because of cannabis? This is a story that's been around for a couple months, ever since July. You may remember this story. I believe, I'm 95% sure that we covered this story back then on this show. 3 cannabis industry professionals from Canada that were detained and allegedly issued lifetime bans forbidding them from entering the United States. The reason was because they were associated with the newly legal cannabis industry in Canada. The product was still in the concept phase, not even designed, and they did not work directly with the plan in any way. Yet somehow officials appeared to have decided the omission of cannabis use or association with the industry in any way as grounds for a lifetime ban from the country. Legalization goes to effect on October 17th in Canada. And there's some cause for concern for those in the industry who may want to travel to the United States. Canadian officials have chosen not to press the U.S. for a better understanding of how it will be determined that someone is associated with Canada's legal cannabis industry and what is grounds for a lifetime ban. But one U.S. congressman wants answers. Representative Lou Correa, a Democrat from California, said, quote, "We're concerned DHS is unnecessarily and disproportionately penalizing non-citizens who are engaged in lawful business activities." According to Marijuana Moment, he sent a letter to Homeland Security Secretary Christian Nielsen on Monday. Trudeau, I think for his part, from what I've seen, has basically said, hey, if you use cannabis, don't go to the border and expect there not to be some problems, but not to be a tough time. I don't know. It seems like an overreaction to say, hey, you're from Canada, you are involved in the cannabis industry in some way, so we're going to ban you from the United States and travel here. It seems like an overreaction. It seems like it would be detrimental in a lot of ways to a lot of economic interests on both sides of the border. But nobody's ever really accused the government of thinking things through and being efficient and logical in their decisions. This next story comes to us from foxnews.com. Maine restaurant to get lobsters high off marijuana smoke before killing them. Quote, "It is more humane." Charlotte's legendary lobster pound in Maine currently offers its lobsters steamed or boiled, but the owner is really hoping you enjoy them baked out of their skulls. Ha ha. Get it? It's weed pun. The favorite of media everywhere. Charlotte Gill, who opened Charlotte's legendary lobster pound in Southwest Harbor 7 years ago, is experimenting with getting the lobsters high off marijuana smoke before killing and cooking them, believing it to be more humane than traditional methods. For their part, PETA, the People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, said it is indeed not more humane. I don't know. I can't speak for lobsters. I got to think that, being boiled alive is rough. But whether or not marijuana smoke helps them, I don't know. Gill told the Mount Desert Islander, quote, "I feel bad when lobsters come here. There is no exit strategy. It's a unique place and you get to do such unique things, but at the expense of this little creature. I've really been trying to figure out how to make it better." Well, I guess really how to make it better was you would stop selling lobsters. But it seems her entire business is built around lobsters. So unless she can find something else to sell, I guess she's kind of stuck with, trying various experimental ways. The restaurant's first experiment into the process, a lobster nicknamed Roscoe, was placed into a box Does that make it harder to kill a lobster if you name them? I gotta think it does. Was placed into a box with a few inches of water at the bottom, and marijuana smoke was then blown through the water into the box. Gill is also a licensed medical marijuana caregiver in the state of Maine. She says Roscoe was much calmer and less aggressive for the subsequent 3 weeks and didn't try to attack the other lobsters in his tank, even though his claws were unbound. She later released Roscoe to the sea as a thank you, according to the Islander. So she got this lobster high. It was great for 3 weeks, and then she let it go. She thinks it's going to translate to making it better for lobsters. I mean, that lobster seems pretty mellow. I mean, I'm not going to, I'm not a lobster expert, how they normally act. But that seems like a pretty mellow acting lobster for the 3 weeks after the smoke sesh. I don't know. Like I said, it's not like you can ask the lobsters. You feel okay? Ready to get boiled alive now? Come on, buddy. Pot of boiling water. Toss you right in there. Be good. Somebody will eat you. It's good stuff. Here, hit this joint. Slash story from Newsweek.com. Canadian marijuana company allowed to legally export medicinal cannabis to the U.S. You may know the name Tilray. They've been granted permission by the U.S. federal government to export medical cannabis to California for scientific research. Tilray Incorporated and Dr. Fada Nahab, an associate professor of neurosciences at the University of California, San Diego's medical school. He's behind the research. They believe it is the first time that the DEA has given the green light to a Canadian producer to export cannabis to study the drug south of the border. The Toronto Star reported getting approval was a months-long process. It also required the U.S. Food and Drug Administration to agree. It's quite significant, said Dr. Catherine Jacobson, Tilray's director of clinical research, told the Canadian newspaper. This is the first time a Canadian licensed producer has demonstrated to the FDA that a study drug produced in Canada from the cannabis plant can meet its standards. I don't know what the FDA standards are for marijuana. The crap they're growing at the University of Mississippi is any indication. The standards aren't great. Tilray shares rose as much as 28% with report of the news, according to Bloomberg. That pushes overall value to more than $14 billion. At one point, Tilray, their stock got so high that it was over. Their valuation was over $21 billion, putting it on par with many of the biggest corporations in the world. If you have Tilray stock, you see if you're watching the video, you see the chart there. If you have Tilray stock, you know it's been quite a wild ride in the last few days. There's a snapshot of the 5-day performance of Tilray stock. You see there between the 18th and the 19th, towards the end of the 19th, when this news hit, things jumped. Eventually, the stock peaked at over $250 a share and then dropped quite a bit yesterday and then throughout today. Dropped about 17% today, down around $176 per share, putting its market valuation at about $16 billion. Still rather large. I believe it still makes it the biggest cannabis company as far as valuation in the world. It's battling cannabis growth for that title. Marijuana stocks in general have been wild, and they'll continue to be wild because it's a new industry. But I think in general, as we have seen, is a lot of them are going up because things are getting better and the market is getting more hospitable to what they're doing. Canada's legalization hits October 17th. It's less than a month away. Obviously, the United States, more and more states every couple of years add to the recreational legalization rolls. Medical marijuana is becoming more popular. Obviously, CBD is exploding all over the country. So it's but stocks. I mean, you play with stocks. It's going to be something. Like I said, those of you with Tilray stock, you know that it's been quite a ride the last few days. Say not bad right now, $176. That's it's better than it was before all this started. But whether or not that's going to be what goes from here, I don't know. I'm not a stock person. I'm not giving you any stock advice. I want to make that clear. Don't go on what I'm saying. I'm just reporting what happened, and it's been nuts. But it's also big news that the DEA, who are the enforcers of Schedule 1, which says that marijuana has no medicinal value, they're saying, hey, send some Canadian weed down here, and we can study it in California, because the crap we grow is not great, but we want to see the medical benefits. So yeah, but more research, absolutely. It's always a good thing. Thanks everybody for checking out Cannabis News, for liking and commenting and sharing the videos, all that stuff. Thank you to Natureside, their organic, all natural pesticides. Go check them out. And Go check us out on Apple Podcasts. If you want the audio-only version of the show, search the Marijuana Times on Apple Podcasts. You can also search us on YouTube and Vimeo to find the videos. You all are awesome. Keep it up. Keep spreading the truth about cannabis with this show. And we'll see you next time right here on Cannabis News.